Welcome back to the Blue Door Pub Thunderdome for you another bull with Andy Carlson, Minnesota's 87 best daily podcast show about everything and nothing. Both things, 5 days a week. Tell a friend, spread the word. iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Bullshow.co. Add to the Jerome Army because everyone's middle name is Jerome. Today we got on Nick Gelso, CLNS Radio. We're talking a little bit of basketball, a little bit of Celtics. Yeah, I do like stepping out of the comfort zone a little bit because I grew up as just a massive basketball fan. It was Twins, it was NBA, like the 95 draft class, the one with Damon Stoudemire and Big Country Bryant Reeves. And yeah, I mean, that was just great times. Oh, Jason Kidd? A Jason Kidd rookie card. Him in like the old school Dallas Mavericks jersey. That was good. It was absolutely good. So it'll be fun talking with Nick a little bit about NBA and also CLNS Radio, podcast, network, digital media. That's where everything's headed. That's where we're all going, and we appreciate you coming along for the ride. Before we get in, I got to give some love to Blue Door because Lent is still rolling on. When does Lent end? Easter, right? April 16th. I want to say. So you got 4 more shots every single Friday down at the Blue Door Pub, Longfellow and University on Como. Oh my God. $12 all you can eat codfish and $14 pitchers of Indeed B-Side Pilsner. Love them both. Buy both, and you get entered in a chance to win some great Indeed and Blue Door stuff. Lots of beer, lots of vests, and a chance for 2 nights. Stay on Chase on the Lake in Walker, Minnesota. Dynamite fish fry at Longfellow and University on Como, or just stop on into the St. Paul one, the OG, the original, just for a burger and a beer. How about that? TheBDP.com. All right, let's get to Nick. And welcome back into the Blue Door Pub studios is Nick Gelso. Follow him on Twitter at CLNS_Nick. Nick, thanks for coming in.
Can I start? I got to start you again. It's Gelso. It's spelled with the G, pronounced with the J. Everybody does it. Don't worry.
It's funny. Whenever I have guests on where I don't know the pronunciation of the name, I just go YOLO style. Yeah. Like usually, I get it right, or they're too polite to correct. But Gelso, gotcha.
So start over, no big deal. Everybody does that. It's okay.
All right. So, Nick, what's going on? CEO and founder of CLNS Radio. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, I'm just so thrilled to be here, Andy. To hang out during a lunch break, I guess, right? 30 minutes at noon. This is fun.
Yeah, it's you and I were just having a nooner. We're having a moment, a little afternoon delight. It's good.
That's it.
Yeah,
I like it. It's good.
Yeah. So basically, want to have you on. Give me the elevator speech of what CLNS is, if people aren't in the know.
Oh wow, man! Well, right now today it's a digital media outlet with a focus on audio and visual content. When we launched, almost 10 years ago, that was very, very unfashionable to go and have a cell phone and record post-game shows at TD Garden or do things with podcasting wise. We called it online radio then. Now it's all the rage. So I guess we were kind of in the right place at the right time. So we have a hard focus on audio reports, audio podcasts, and visual. And today we have a camera crew and locker room reporters at the Garden after every Celtics game, post-game shows on the YouTube channel, all the player-exclusive interviews. It's really turned into a monster. We just got to keep feeding the beast, I guess.
It's weird is that 10 years ago, it used to be I feel like some of the mainstream media didn't really know how to accept bloggers or podcasters or everyone in the digital space. Like you're saying, like it was weird when people were filming stuff on their camera phones in locker rooms 10 years ago. Like the big news media is like, oh, you have to have these 80-pound cameras to do your work. But now even mainstream media has got their iPhone 7 out and they're filming interviews.
It's interesting to say that because back 5-6 years ago, it was almost because digital media was trying so hard to be considered respected and professional. When you did a video show from your home, you put up a screen behind you. Now, you watch CNN and you got every correspondent in their living room on Skype. So it's just the world is just different. one our longest standing podcaster had been Celtic Stuff Live. They've been podcasting since 2004, and Medium was invented in 2005. So figure that out. But the amount of equipment alone, just to record a 30-minute post-game broadcast, the equipment and the time put into it was a huge investment. And today, technology has caught up and it's made it quite easier. And now, again, like I think the people that, 7, 8, even 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago were fighting it now realize, because the higher up in the ivory tower, corporate's just forcing them to do it. So, it's either you learned it early on and you get entrenched. Luckily, that's what we did. Or some of these guys who have been in the media for 100 years and now finally coming onto it. And luckily they have enough of a following that it's succeeding for them as well. It's an interesting thing for sure.
And yeah, because remember when that BBC video went viral about the kids walking in on the dad in South Korea? It's like, oh, that guy's on Skype, just like we're on Skype right now. It's like amazing that the barrier for entry in terms of getting into like the journalism market, it's so low. I mean, like you can have a podcast, like you guys have started podcasts. I've started podcasts. You can get a couple thousand, tens of thousands of listeners all of a sudden, and you're doing better numbers than mainstream outlets are just now starting to get into the podcast game. Same thing with digital video.
The power of podcasting. I don't know many radio shows, terrestrial radio shows, that can get 18 minutes undivided attention at the start of a show. I mean, usually, you watch the debates. Donald Trump, would go up against Hillary Clinton and give all his ammunition in the first 3 minutes because everybody tuned out after that. Yeah. So it's TV and radio. The retention level just isn't there. And we found that podcasting, a podcast with 10,000 listeners is like a radio show with 100,000 listeners. Yeah. It's just, it's interesting. And in that, luckily, agencies and sponsors have realized that the power of the endorsement is much stronger on the podcast as well. So thank God we've done well with sponsors too. So, and that's really what feeds the beast. You can't do it if you don't have the resources to pay the reporters or buy the cameras and keep the lights on, the virtual lights on, I guess, unless you have sponsors. So we've been lucky enough to do that as well. And it's been a fun ride. It's unbelievable to me that my first time covering the locker room was like 2009 or 10. And, you had KG and Allen and Pierce and Rondo, pretty much on their championship contention ride. And now today it's just a completely different locker room, different coach, different personality. And I just get to thinking about that because we're entering another playoff season and it's fun. It's fun to watch the team transition. This current Celtics team are very, very good with the media, really good with the media, as were the old big three too.
Yeah,
they seem to give more to digital.
As a Minnesota sports fan, you're welcome for KG, by the way.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you. We'll take that.
Yeah, we got Al Jefferson and a bag of rocks. Yeah, that was a great trade.
Yeah, that was pretty much, a lot of people said Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale. McHale giving Ainge a gift, but the Celtics did trade away their entire team, so I don't want to get into that debate.
Now, with CLNS, the scope is primarily Celtics, but it also encompasses all New England sports, right?
Yeah, okay, so CLNS Radio is our original, it's our name, and it kind of is all the everything we own internally, podcast or video-wise, is pretty much centered around New England sports, Red Sox, Patriots, Bruins, strong focus on the Celtics. Our network hosts a variety of podcasts from around the sports world, but also our roots are in basketball, so we are heavy on NBA podcasts. CLNS Radio hosts the Real GM podcast. We host the B-Ball Breakdown, Lakers Nation, Sixers Beat, Celtics Beat. So we're all around the NBA, and you can find it all in one place on our mobile app. That, to me, has been really fun, that expansion, because learning about other teams' fan bases and what they're talking about has been interesting, and it's also given us a lot of the ability for our other hosts, our other podcasters who host with us, to be able to pull a variety of information and a pool of hosts from around the network. So if the Celtics are playing the Sixers, well, we're going to get Derek Bodner on from Sixers Beat. So it's almost like an internal community of sports writers and podcasters and videographers. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
You know, people don't realize, or maybe don't remember, since we're a little bit younger, that the Celtics are the winningest franchise in NBA history. They do.
We remember.
Well, you guys remember up there. Maybe naturally we don't. And you just see the passion with Red Sox fans, Patriots fans. It's the same with Celtics fans.
It is. It's funny because I've obviously covered arenas around the league, and we go in the media. We tend to call them, like, you know, the arcade arenas where they're playing, you know, music and effects throughout the entire, and they need that in-game production in order to keep their fans' attention. Mm-hmm. At the TD Garden, they don't even play replays of fouls on the jumbotron. I mean, there are in-game effects, but the fan base is just so connected to the team. And one thing about Boston sports, Celtics fans in particular, they know their sports. So they know if you're dogging it. And it's funny because to me, the Celtics fan base is so rabid, but if you put it against the other New England teams, the Celtics are probably fourth in line for the most rabid fan base in Boston. And obviously the Patriots and the Red Sox and the Bruins. Yeah.
How would you power rank them? Like, who's number one?
Personally, or, I mean, okay, so you got to give me the parameters on that. You mean power rank them as a franchise?
No, just objectively in terms of rabidity, if that's a word, we'll make it up, of the fan bases of New England sports teams. Yeah.
Man, I would have to say Patriots fans are the most obnoxious, and I'm not bad-mouthing them because they pay our bills. We love them, but they are crazy. Yeah. So I'd say Patriots. And Celtics and Red Sox are right there in the middle. I mean, Bruins fans are nuts too. That's a hard question. I'm always going to lean biasly to the Celtics because though I've covered the other sports teams, my passion is in the NBA. And when an arena can predict a shot or a play prior to him being called, and you know that by the grimace or the excitement in the crowd, you know that fan base is hooked. They're synced up. They know their team. So, yeah, power ranking them is not easy. I'm going to be a bit biased on that, but I put the Celtics in the second or third slot, depending on who has the better record that year.
But how can the Patriots be number one? Like, Nick, don't you know that the Patriots fans have an issue because of Trump and connection to Brady and Belichick and Kraft? What a load of horseshit.
Maybe who knows? I mean, maybe Russia had something to do with the Super Bowl this year. We don't know at this point. Then, you know, you never know.
I guess it is very possible. Arthur Blank and Russia have beef. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, the Patriots are like, they remind me kind of the Lakers of the East Coast of the NFL because there's constantly a little bit of drama swirling around them, whether it's Deflategate or, you know, Kraft or Belichick's friendship and Brady's friendship with Trump.
And now the stupid jersey
thing. It's always
thing.
Something interesting. Yeah, now the jersey thing. It's always something kind of going on there that keeps fans intrigued. And if there's not, fans just steal Brady's jersey and make it intriguing again. Or you know what I'm saying? There's always something going on.
You know, it's funny because I've been a Vikings fan all my life, but ever since Belichick got to but ever since Belichick got to New England, and he's my favorite coach, like hands down.
Right.
I've read all the books about Belichick, and Patriots always have been my not so closeted number two team, and for good reason, because it's like they just churn through guys like they don't give an F.
Right. No, and they have a winning culture, and there's an expectation, and I would have to think someday Tom Brady is going to become his actual age, and we may see that great culture hopefully not end. I mean, hopefully they continue to transition it and keep the winning ways going because. Sports is always fun in February if you're a New England fan.
And I always think that Patriots being dominant it's sort of like when the Yankees were making their run in through the 90s and 2000s. Like it's great when there's one dominant binary love 'em or hate 'em team because that keeps the sport interesting. And like no one has a neutral opinion on the Patriots, just like no one had a neutral opinion on the Yankees. There was like, either all in or all out.
Here's a little secret for you and me and your listeners is I'm a diehard Yankees fan.
Ooh, there it is.
I'm not a Red Sox fan. I mean, from a business standpoint, got to root for the Red Sox.
Yep.
We do better if they do better. From a kid standpoint, I grew up a Celtics and a Yankees fan, and I know that sounds completely bizarre, but I grew up down in the...
Is it weird having a horn coming out of your head? Because that's the unicorn of the Celtics-Yankee fan.
It's funny, but I'm in northeastern PA out in the Pocono area, and there's a lot of Celtics and Yankees fans. And if you look at the franchises, the winning tradition, the long history of the franchise, even as far as the two, going through just being around forever and being winning teams. Yeah. The Celtics and the Yankees are really quite similar. There's a culture of winning and tradition of winning, and they honor their alumni amazing. So do the Yankees. Not that the Red Sox don't, but I could see how a little kid could like the Yankees and the Celtics. Now, in my backyard is the Yankees minor league team too, so that helped too. I mean, Jeter would be down here quite a bit. Clemens when he was around, so we had the influx of the Yankees in our town as well. So, yeah, well, and it's kind of the secret. My staff busts me because they hate the Yankees.
All right, 2 questions for the Yankee-Celtics connection. Who is the A-Rod version of the on the Celtics in history, and also who's the Jeter version of Boston Celtic?
Oh my God! Wow, that is a good question. Man, I'm gonna pass on the A-Rod, although I understand the analogy you're trying to make. I don't know how I would really. I'm gonna throw out somebody like Fred Roberts. It's probably not a good comparison, but something your listeners won't even know probably.
Ron Mercer.
So I'm gonna say Ron Mercer. God. Okay, so that's A-Rod. We'll go with that.
All right.
Jeter could be so many different people, right? Yeah. Why didn't you ask me like Mickey Mantle? Let's go Mickey Mantle. I'd say Mickey Mantle would be like
it's Larry Bird. That's too easy.
John Havlicek and Larry Bird. That's the hybrid there. As far as Jeter goes, I guess you got to go with Pierce, right?
Yeah, I guess you would. I mean,
I will
makes
tell
sense.
You want to talk about being revered, Pierce. I mean, I'm leaving for Boston tomorrow. I'm covering 2 games. Last game I covered was on Super Bowl Sunday. Pierce's return to the Garden, and I mean, if we want to rank this on most, beloved, most recent, Celtics legend, it would, and compare it to Jeter, it would be Pierce. I mean, the media. I've covered some pretty big events. Like I covered the Bill Russell statue dedication. It was probably the best experience of my life. But I've never, ever seen the media stand up and give a player a standing ovation in the press room, and they did that for Pierce, and he deserved every minute of it. I mean, the dude showed up for the game, with a Clippers uniform in his bag, but he had on Patriots gear. He had on his Celtics headband. I mean, he was basically playing for the Celtics at that point. The crowd cheered for the Clippers the entire game. It was incredible.
Now, do you think if Adam Silver would have allowed it, they would just let Pierce run with the C's for like a quarter?
He basically did. He did basically. I mean, it's funny, and it's not funny. It was probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And ESPN, ABC, I think covered that game. They did not pick up on the vibe at all. And I mean, during timeouts, the Garden was, and it was self. Okay, I guess to round this out, we're talking about in-game production. There was no in-game production prompting the crowd to be chanting, "We want Paul," Doc play Paul. I mean, it was just pretty amazing. And then when Pierce came in the game, the minute left, and sunk that 3-pointer from his sweet spot at TD Garden, I thought the Celtics had just won the championship. That's how they treat their alumni. Yankees treat their alumni well too. The Celtics, that's how they treat their alumni, and that's why you're now starting to see free agents kind of want to go to Boston, because they know we revere our athletes. You play hard, you're right there with the greats.
Now, how many do you think Doc was thinking, oh, look at all these people cheering for me?
Sure, too, to be honest with you. He did. He got on this year, too. Doc, I got to tell you, it was such a good flashback, Andy, because growing into reporting on that team, and then seeing Doc come back with Pierce and the reaction, just the ushers in the building. I mean, it was just incredible. It was really awesome. I cried through the entire press. No, I'm just kidding.
There's no crying in the press box.
Tears. No, there's no crying. it was funny because in press row, the entire press row jumped up and went crazy when he hit that 3-point shot. And we're not supposed to do that. Like, you get in trouble for doing that stuff. But that was a special day. I mean, it's been – so who's your team, man? The Timberwolves?
Yeah, I'm mainly an NFL and college football guy, but I go by geographical defaults with the other sports. So have interest in the Wolves. I do like their young core. Big Cat fan. I think he's going to be an all-time great coming up. Wiggins, who really knows. Yep. Then, Twins, Wild, I guess. Gophers, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's I guess it's kind of sports purgatory up there, isn't it?
Yeah, ever since the who was it? Like Kansas City won. Oh no, Cleveland. Of course, the Cavs, overcoming a 3-1 deficit. Right. Once they won, the Twin Cities, Minnesota area has now become the longest with the Big Four championship drought. Like it's like us and Arizona.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
like 1991 is a long time ago, apparently.
God, I remember it like it was yesterday. 91, Larry Bird was in his second to last year. He was laying on the floor, stretching that back out, man. I miss basketball, and that era was fun, the 80s and the early 90s. I don't know how I just got on that subject. Because whenever you say 91, I think that 90-91 Celtics team, I mean, they got off to like a 25-5 start. They should have beaten the Bulls and won the championship, and Bird got hurt. McHale got hurt, and it was just the end of the end. But, so I don't know why I just depressed everybody by bringing that up.
That's okay. He got a gold medal out of it as a walking corpse in Barcelona. Yeah.
He did, yeah, and that was a year later. And then he retired. Once he retired, I didn't come out of my house for, probably like 2 weeks. I mean, it was as a kid, it was the hardest thing to go through. I still feel it. I mean, he was just so good. So good. People don't realize how good he was. Yeah, and he gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, being slightly younger, I feel like I sort of missed the boat on the glory days of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, because they were in their prime a little bit before my time. Like I still got prime MJ as a kid, but yeah, like the NBA when it used to be the NBA,
Right. It's when Bird and Magic were. It was crazy because, the comparisons with LeBron struggling in his first 7 years, then going to Miami and then back to Cleveland. Michael Jordan just struggled, and people just questioned his heart terribly.
He's trying to win with Orlando Woolridge.
I mean, come on, George Gervin well over the hill. And I think the only guy that remained on that team for the championship was Paxson. So, those and Michael Jordan, I never – ever had a player since on an opposing team that I think maybe Kobe would be closest, but had the ball down the stretch that if he got the ball, he was going to foul or he was going to make the shot. And there's that great quote that Jordan had, I missed him with that made on the stretch. It felt like he made everything in crunch time. And that's how it was with the Bird and Thomas doing. And Magic, never thought the game is never too far. And I really enjoyed more of a freelance style of basketball, less play calling, more focus on the low post with, establishing a post game, then keep making, and then put your footprint on the perimeter. And the game has just changed. Back then it was a big man's game. Today it's a point guard's game. I'm not quite as in love with it as I was then, and it's more work for me now. But it's still a great product. The NBA is a great product.
Yeah, I just love the old school mentality. Like think of like Anthony Mason and Charles Oakley, where it was basically football, like on hardwood. And
how about a couple of weeks ago when Oakley took somebody out at Madison Square Garden?
Yeah, that's great.
Used to happen every night there.
Yeah,
that used to happen every night there. I mean, Oakley for sure. Mason, Oakley. There were other guys too, he played for Seattle. I can't remember his name. Cage, maybe, or something. He was a wild man, too.
Oh,
there were
yeah.
There were just some really that physical play is gone now. I mean, okay, so I don't cringe LeBron having the ball in the closing seconds of the game because he's so clutch he's going to hit that shot. I cringe because I know he's just going to drive the rack and get fouled even if he's not fouled. going to force the ref to blow the whistle. And it's such a referee and coach-driven game, and I think that's, in my opinion, the biggest difference between then and now.
Yeah.
You know, back then you got guys like Casey Jones. When you have Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, and Bill Walton coming off the bench, you don't need to call a play the entire game. You don't have to. You know, they're just that good, and they're that synced up. Same thing with Magic, Worthy, Kareem, and that whole crew. You know, today they call. I mean, it's a coach's game, and the referees try to make it their game.
And yeah, I'm always marveling what Steph Curry can do. Like, it's just amazing watching him when he's dialed in and on his game. He wasn't on his game 2 weeks ago against the Wolves on Friday, but I digress. But I just can't see him like 20 years ago. Everyone always plays his games like, in a different era, he'd be put on his ass and XYZ. And yeah, I do kind of see that. And then also like Kevin Durant going out there with the Warriors. And, they always say that, like the old school guys, like Bird would never team up with Magic. Jordan would never go anywhere.
Back in the late 80s, Bird had the Bone Spurs, and there were people inside the organization that were actually talking about trading him, and it was just forbidden. You just didn't do it, you know, and you're right. I mean, when you go down the players, you know, from the great players in history, they've really played majority of their career on one team. I mean, you got Wilt, who's kind of bounced around, but he only has 2 championships. But guys like Jordan and Isaiah and Magic and Dr. J and these guys were, you know, from start to finish on the same team, and they became part of the culture of the city. And that's the best, rounding that out, that's the best way to describe Paul Pierce's return to the Garden on Super Bowl Sunday. It was like, you know, your son just come home and he's going to retire soon and hang out with you. You know what I mean? So, and that was kind of what it was like, because for all intents and purposes, Pierce is going to be remembered as a Celtic. You know, the fact that he's been gone the last 4 years doesn't even count. It'll be a blip on his career.
Is there any frustration at all that the big three plus Rondo in Boston only squeezed out one championship?
Frustration is, yes, I would say so. I think 2010, really, 2009, if Garnett didn't get injured, the Celtics still won 62 games, and I think Garnett missed 30 games. That team, you know, was very frustrating to watch, because the organization was talking Belichick. They were pulling Belichick and not really giving you insights into Garnett's condition. You know, in every game he may come back, but then you'd see him walk, you know, to the locker room, and he could barely walk. It was very, very frustrating. 2010 was the best ride I've ever really been on, because they shouldn't have gone back to the finals. And being up as much as they were in Game 7 in LA, even with Perkins injured, there was some frustration. But everybody knowing when Garnett, Pierce, and Allen came in, everybody knew they were on a timeline. They were at the age in their career where they were on the tipping point of their prime. So looking back on it, the Celtics having gotten, you know, 5 years out of that squad was pretty impressive, and we should be thankful as fans. And the biggest assist Paul Pierce ever gave to the organization was, and Garnett waiving that trade clause. Pierce getting Garnett to waive the trade clause, shipping them off to New Jersey or to Brooklyn, and here now the Celtics are situated with draft picks. Seems like until the end of the decade, you know. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I think as a fan, you're frustrated.
Such a first world problem, especially with New England sports teams in the past decade. We only won one.
I mean, if you think about it, the Celtics fans were treated to 5 years of basketball that was really a throwback to that era we were just talking about. That team played like that the '80s teams did, and I truly miss that now more than I feel frustration over the fact they only won one title.
Yeah. I know that you got a heart out here, Nick, but give me a little forecast. Like, look into your crystal ball. Where's CLNS going to be in 10 years?
Oh man, I just hope that that's a tough question. Yeah. And it's like the cliche question too. You should always have that answer kind of backed up.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. I just hope that we as a company are still doing innovative things in regards to covering covering our fans' favorite sports teams. We are branching out into non-sports segments, so I think I see the company having maybe a news element to it in the future, though there's no immediate plans for that. I definitely see the company the network as a whole being considered more of a media network than a Boston sports network, or even a sports network per se in 10 years. I think that and that's my hope. And I hope, one of the biggest things for me is my locker room reporter for the Celtics, we started sending him the games when he was 19, and now his articles are being featured in SI. Our cameraman for 4 years, we brought him on when he was 21. He's now just got hired for one of the directors of digital media for the Boston Celtics.
Oh, wow.
Those are the things that keep me motivated and going and keep the company going through aggravation at times, So if we could continue to grow, expand our coverage, and continue to contribute great reporters to the industry, we've done our job, and I'm happy.
He's Nick Gelso. Follow him on Twitter at CLNS_Nick, and hit up CLNS Radio. Download the app. It's good stuff. I love hustlers. I love people who are doing things in the same vein I'm doing, and Nick, you're definitely a hustler. We're cut from the same cloth.
You too, Andy. Yeah, we are, Andy. I'm glad I've gotten to know you, and I look forward to coming on again, and we got to get you on some of our shows as well. So shoot me the link to this when it's published, and we'll tweet it out. And I want to continue to work with you, man. You're doing cool stuff.
Hey, awesome. Thanks, brother.
And you have a good sense of humor, too, so that's good.
Hey, you disagree with my wife on that point.
Have a good one.
And a lot of fun stuff from Nick there. It's I wish we had a little bit more time. I know that Nick had a hard out, but I would have loved just to make this entire show about Kevin Garnett, because Kevin Garnett, when he was drafted out of high school, Farragut Academy, I can remember still vividly in my mind. We were at I want to say it was like some sort of family gathering or a picnic, and the TV was on, and then all of a sudden the Wolves drafted this 6'11", 6'12". Yeah. Figure that one out. Kid out of high school, the skinny kid, and my dad was all like, what the hell are they doing drafting some kid out of high school? He ain't Moses Malone. But he turned out to be pretty damn good. Hall of Famer, first ballot, and his attitude is, I feel like it's something that is missing in the NBA. Like Draymond Green, I guess would be the closest to KG attitude-wise, except Draymond can't back it up. Like KG will fight you. Like KG will literally take you out in the parking lot right now, and he'll do it. Like after Area 21, like if he doesn't like his guests, he will fight his guest in the parking lot while cussing him out the entire time and talking amazing trash. It's not a fake tough guy routine like Draymond, but I digress. Thanks a lot to Nick Gelso for coming on, and that was a lot of fun. We will have to make Nick a regular guest, and I will have to hop on to some of the stuff, because it's all coming back to me now. Just like you supporting the show by shopping through our Amazon link, bullshow.co.co/Amazon. Take right to the homepage. Here's what you do. Drive to the bookmark bar, and you know the drill. You guys have been crushing it, and we appreciate it. It all goes in the same pot. Purple for the win, dad mode, bull with Andy Carlson, and it keeps the lights on here. It really helps us out, and I love you guys for that. I also want to help us out. If you enjoy us, tell a friend. Actually, if you don't even enjoy us, still tell a friend about it. But you don't be like, this guy has no talent. He's not funny. He doesn't get good guests. Sad! Exclamation point. No, don't say that. Just tell them about Bull with Andy Carlson. Add some Jeromes to the Jerome Army. iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Check us out on YouTube, and also like us on Facebook as well. Big props, producer Allie, for making me not sound so stupid today. But for Nick Gelso, I'm Andy Carlson saying annyeong, sayonara, and bye-bye. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to Bull with Andy Carlson, Minnesota's 87th best daily podcast. Download the show on iTunes. everyone's middle name is Jerome.